So my team said it might be good based upon what a lot of our students ask us. If you, Phil, shared some memories of your time promoting trance music in the 1990s as a club promoter and as a DJ. And so I had a little think and dug out a couple of props, if you like. And here is kind of five, certainly not the most exhaustive list or anything. There's lots more, but five things that spring to mind about what it was like being a trance promoter and DJ through the boom years of the late 90s and into the 2000s. So I promoted a club called Tangled in Manchester in England. This book is all about it. The team that I work with made this book a couple of years after I left the club, after 12 years of being a resident DJ and a founder of the club. So this is a wonderful thing. I look at this regularly, and I just had a little peep through to get some flavour back into my mind about what this place was like. It was a no-frills underground club, held about 600-700 people at a push, with a couple of rooms, one of which was the trance room that I DJ'd in. I want to just read you a little bit from the book here. I just give you an idea of the kind of things we did there. So guest DJs started to play at Tangled. It was just us residents at the beginning. Many making their Manchester debut. Steve Lawler, Andy Cato from Groove Armada, James Holden, Sander Kleinenberg, Danny Howells, Nick Warren, Agnellian Nelson, Lange, Gareth Emery, and above and beyond, to name just a few. So you can hear, if you are of a certain age or you're just a fan of trance, you can hear some very, very big names that I've just read out there. So this was the kind of event that we promoted. So here's my five memories that I want to share with you today. So number one was the big explosion of trance at the end of the 1990s. So we were running this club from about 1993, 94 onwards. And trance music was a thing. I was playing early jam and spoon records and stuff coming out of Germany. That wasn't really called trance at the time, but we called it melodic European music, I remember on our flyers. But it was ultimately the music that turned into trance. So we were kind of setting the scene without really realizing it. But the explosion happened, and I would say 98 for us. And I remember so clearly one defining moment. I was driving along a long road called Wilbraham Road in Manchester on my way to Fallowfield, the student quarter, with a car full of posters and flyers, because I ran all around Manchester every Saturday, putting up posters and putting flyers out in bars to get people to come hopefully to our event later on that night. It was a Saturday night club. And I had the radio on, as I always did, as I was driving from bar to bar and pub to pub and warm-up venue to warm-up venue, dropping off my stuff. And they played Ferry Corsten's Out of the Blue. And I remember all my hairs standing on end on my arms and turning it up and thinking, oh my God, what is this record? We need to fill our boxes with records just like this and play them every single week in our club. We're onto something huge here. This is the music we've been waiting for. This has got the power of house, but the melody of European pop music, basically. And so that's what we did. We tracked down the records. Now, I don't have my copy of Out of the Blue. I have a copy of Gloriella, the track he made with Tiesto here, which came a bit later. This was a huge anthem everywhere, including in our club. But we wanted to fill our boxes with music like this. And we did. And this was something that led to an utter change in our event, because suddenly we went from 200, 300 people to 1,000 trying to get in every week. We kind of spent 5 years laying the groundwork without realizing it and getting good. And that's what I want to move on to. My second point, I learned on the job. So I literally, as a kid, ordered from the back of the DJ magazine, I think, send a check by mail order, this book by Roy Shepherd, From Scratch to Stardom, scratch meaning beginning, not scratching, the DJ's Handbook. And I read this, I literally memorized everything in this book. You can see how battered it is and how weather-worn it is. And that was it. That was my education. Apart from that, I just did it. I was playing end-of-term parties. I was playing with my friends. We had a mobile disco. Started playing in clubs when I could, bars and so on, and working my way up, making all the mistakes you can make, forgetting to bring my own headphones because I didn't think you needed them. I made every mistake, but I learned on the job. The point is, I was DJing every week. It's something we teach here at the school. You must DJ all the time. It's the way you learn. And when it came to the point of booking DJs, such as some of the names I read out there, we were literally looking at the names in brackets on the label of the record. Who made this record? and just like tracking these people down, ringing the phone numbers on the back of the vinyl and tracking these people down and say, well, look, you made a great record there. Do you want to come and DJ at our club? And this was it was an education for us that standed us in really good stead as we got better and better at our job, and landed with some really almost accidental successes. So for instance, I remember one time we booked this little DJ called Tom Craft, and we booked him 3 or 4 months in advance. And in the meantime, because we liked some of his records, they were very underground records, but meantime, he released a song called Loneliness. And Tom Craft's Loneliness went to #1 pretty much everywhere in Europe, at least. Can't speak for other parts of the world. So by the time he DJ'd at our club, we had the #1 record in the land, the DJ who made it playing at our club. And you can imagine the attention that got us and the queue around the block and so on. So learning on the job for me was a lot of happy accidents, obviously a lot of mess ups, but it was so much fun to understand DJing with no fears, just coming at it and trying to bite off as much as we could without too much stress about whether we were doing it right or not. So the third thing I want to share with you is just one night I remember very, very clearly. It was a night where we decided, after several years, maybe 10 years of running the club, that we were going to do a countdown of our biggest songs in the club. Now at this point they were mostly big trance records because trance had made our club. And so we got one of those long like LED display things that they sometimes have in, phone shops that scrolls around anything you type into it. Now this was before phone apps, so it had a tiny little keyboard, and we hung it up in the DJ booth, and we basically played from number 50 to #1, as voted for by our clubbers on an early forum, of their favourite songs. And me and my DJ partner Terry were doing this. We were typing in to this little keyboard the title of the song and the artist, while the other one played the song, and then we'd swap and the other one would type in. And it was hilarious. I remember my good friend Tony just watching us and just laughing all the way through these hours and hours of us trying to conduct this thing that we'd chosen to do. And so we pulled it off. We managed it. It was quite stressful, but very funny. The #1 song, by the way, was Delirium's Silence, the Sanctuary mix. So number 4 is Lost Weekends. This was a lifestyle for us. It wasn't a job. It was something that in the end, that's why I stopped. In my mid-30s, I'm like, you know what, I can't carry on doing this. I haven't got the stamina anymore. It's going to kill me if I'm not careful, if I do it for another 10 years. That's kind of what made me stop and what made me in the end miss it enough to get into teaching it. It was a lifestyle. I remember one very, very big DJ turned up, and a lot of these DJs didn't know what to expect. Right? They'd taken a cut in fee because we were a small club. Their mates had said, oh, you've got to go and play there, it's great. But it wasn't the kind of places they normally played. So he turned up, didn't really know what to expect, and he didn't leave for about 3 days. He went from after party to after party. I remember going home, going to bed, getting up, having breakfast, heading out to collect a box of records I'd left at someone's house or something. And there he was, sat on the bed with an entourage, having the time of his life, not been to bed yet. And after about 3 days, this unnamed but very, very famous DJ declared, it's been great, guys, but now I'm going fishing. And off he went. Absolute legend. Yeah, so it was definitely a time of lost weekends, I would say, which gave it a shelf life. But what a way to spend your early years, I would say. And the final thing, probably the most important thing, that my most abiding memory of the whole DJing through that explosion of trance in the late 90s and early 2000s, was we often put on all-night events. They were 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. And usually we had a guest DJ booked to play them, but especially when we got later on into the club's existence, us residents, we knew our crowd so well that sometimes we would just throw an all-nighter and only one of us a DJ because the other one couldn't make it. There were 2 resident DJs. The other one couldn't make it, whatever. And this happened a couple of times to me. So a couple of times I would DJ from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., 8 hours of DJing on vinyl, to my favourite dance floor and my favourite club, playing my favourite music. And of course, as Ferry Corsten points out in our Ferry Corsten's trance mixing masterclass course, as he talks about in that course, you can't just play the same kind of trance bangers one after the other. You can't even do that for an hour, never mind 8 hours. And so I really loved these sets because it gave me a chance to properly flex my muscles as a DJ and still stick to the theme, right? So we'd start off with deep house. We'd get into what was called progressive house back then, which kind of started to bring in these trancey journey elements. Then we move up to what might be called melodic techno nowadays. So still laid back, but now we're getting rolly. Now we're keeping the melodies there. We're keeping that sense of kind of yearning and space and always moving forward. Then we move on to trance and techno and rave. You know, rave was a scene we'd all grown out of, and there's a lot of crossover there anyway. And then towards the end of the night, we'd start to bring the tempo down as it was starting to get light outside, playing stuff like Massive Attack's Unfinished Sympathy, which has definitely got big trance elements to it. But that lowering of the BPM would just ignite the dance floor again for the end. And at the end, we'd quite often just pull a real thing out of the bag that no one was expecting, like, I don't know, a big rock record like She Sells Sanctuary by The Cult or something like that. Just something that completely blew people away and got them walking home singing something they'd never thought they were going to sing, maintaining the vibe and the energy and the journey of trance music, but honestly taking it everywhere. I love playing those all-nighters. They will be the DJ memory that goes with me all the way through my life for sure. I mean, what DJ wouldn't, really? So there you go. There's some of my memories of promoting trance in the 1990s. Our Ferry Corsten's Trance Mixing Masterclass is the way to learn how to do this. There's a link underneath for learning more about that. But I hope you've enjoyed this, and I'd absolutely love to hear your memories of trance music, of going out and clubbing to trance, of DJing trance if you were a DJ, and indeed if you were lucky enough, and I'm going to say it, to be someone who came to the club that I'm so proud of having been part of, Tangled. Do let us know your memories of that down in the comments as well. I hope you've enjoyed this. Meanwhile, get good, get out there and make the moments. I'll see you later. Bye.